decided to take the Mercy for a little drive. I figured while I was taking the Mercy for a drive, I'd talk to you a little bit about what I fixed on the car. I had the car delivered April 1st of 2021. The overall process took quite a while to source parts. For those of you who followed it along, it took a little bit less than 2 years to get all the work done up until this point. There's still some things I need to address with the car, but mechanically it drives very well. I've been enjoying it. I've probably put 300 miles or so on the car since I got it back. So I figured the fast way to do this would be to talk from front to back everything that I did to the car, or my shop did. Roselli foreign car repair in Willow Glen, San Jose. Awesome guys. They're super busy, so you need to find time to get on their schedule. But they do really, really good work. But yeah, so starting from the front of the car, I had the front trunk struts replaced. The OEM ones from Lamborghini are about $120 a piece, and there's two of them that you need. So I replaced both of them with an equivalent that I found with the help of some of the guys on the forum from Kragen. Kragen had one that was the equivalent pressure, equivalent expansion distance, and so I ended up replacing that. They were $80 for the set, if I remember correctly. Struts, the OEM ones are silver. These are black. I think they go just fine. But as you can see, they extend and they work just fine. The next thing, slightly further back in the car, was the windshield wiper motor. The plastic gear inside the windshield wiper motor on the one that I had stripped, and so in order to replace it, I ended up buying a new one. Had the shop put it in. You should probably note that there is a left-hand drive and a right-hand drive windshield wiper motor, and I screwed that up. So don't be me. Figure out which one you need and buy the appropriate one. Luckily for me, the shop managed to salvage the motor and put it onto the original bracket that was on my car, because the motor just spins one direction. So the motor itself didn't matter, but the whole assembly would have been nice to use the new one. So that ended up being close to a little more than $700 from the place in Europe. The next thing back that I ended up doing was the front shocks on my car were actually leaking. They're Coney shocks. They have Teflon seals, and over time they start to leak. Pretty common problem for older Mercies. What the dealership quoted me to replace both of them with new ones was $19,000. I ended up finding a gentleman named Custer, who is based, I believe, out of Ohio, and I ended up shipping my shocks off to him. So I had the shop pull the shocks off, pull the springs off of the shocks before you ship them to him. I'll put his email address in the description below, but he did an amazing job rebuilding them. If you go on the website, on the forums, and look up his email address, I mean, tons of postings come up. He's well known, does awesome work, and he's very, very much cost effective when it comes to rebuilding the seals on the Mercy shocks. So I sent those out to John. He did an amazing job, and I got them back in about a week. So pretty quick turnaround time. The next thing that I did was these buttons on the dash. These 4 dash buttons right here, 3 of them were missing, and so I ended up having to order new ones, and I ordered 4 new ones. They only come in a set of 4, and they were about $400. So they were not super cheap, just for the plastic covers that go on those buttons. Next, I ordered a steering wheel, which is this guy right here. I sent out my actual steering wheel, and the guys at Azza Auto Wheel did an amazing job. You can configure it from them. So they take your core and they will put carbon and Alcantara and the yellow centering stripe, and I think it was awesome, and it added a ton to the car. So bought 4 buttons, did the steering wheel from Azza Auto Wheel. Awesome work there. I would say that they do amazing quality work. They do a phenomenal job. They took my old leather wheel that looked pretty rough, and they redid it. I will say, if you're thinking about doing Azza Auto Wheel, you may want to buy a second core. They do amazing work, but there is some time involved. They do internationally ship your core to their factory, and they get it done. And so if you are thinking about doing it, I highly encourage you to do it, but maybe buy a second steering wheel core if you have a rare car, so you can actually. The next, and probably one of the biggest things that ended up catalyzing a ton of work on the car, was that this shift lever right here on the early Murcielagos, this stainless steel piece right here, or maybe it's aluminum, it's probably aluminum. This piece right here had a tendency to break and snap right here at this joint, right where it made contact with the gate. I think the 2003 press car had it break on them while the press were using it. So it is a pretty common problem. It had actually broken and been repaired a couple times on my car. The quick way to repair it is to weld it. The weld doesn't hold. They put a bolt through it, and that's what was on my car when I got it. It had been welded, it had broken, it had been welded again, and then they had put a bolt through it. To make it look nice, they had put a piece of leather and wrapped a piece of leather around it, and it was functional, worked fine, it drove. However, with the value of these cars and what they're doing on the collector market, I had decided that I wanted to fix it correctly. So I ended up buying a new piece from Lamborghini. I think it was like $2,500 for just that little aluminum piece. And that wasn't the hard part. The hard part, unfortunately, is that in order to fix it, you can't remove it from the top. You actually have to drop the transmission out the bottom of the car, and that involves sort of loosening the motor and loosening the motor mounts, and shifting the motor back just a little bit to get the transmission out. So that catalysts the next phase of all the work that I had done on the car. So we'll go into that in the next video. Oh boy, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. There it is, 30,000 miles, just rolled over 30K. Woo.